starting the record.
Ora si registrerà la conferenza.
Okay, good. We can start. So, good evening, everyone. We can start from the next event on the agenda of Eumans. It's the Council on Participatory Democracy foreseen for the 15th of December. It's an appointment in which we will have a review of You Can Do It, the petitions that we presented months ago at the beginning of the pandemic in March to the European Parliament. Since then, a lot of things happened. Some aspects of our petition have been implemented, some other are yet to be done, and we also received many suggestions, for instance, from Guido Rasi, from the European Agency of drugs. I don't know if the translation is correct, but so in the 15 we will have this appointment in which we will have this review of You Can Do It, and also many other events in the framework of a day that will be that is being conceived by the coalition Citizens Take Over Europe as a multiple event day. So every organization of this coalition, of which Human is part, will have this event. So in this day we will have both the Council on Participatory Democracy based on You Can Do It, and another event that is mainly based on citizen assembly, European Citizen Assembly. So we will have many organizers of citizen assembly around Europe to discuss a document, a potential petition to urge the European institution on the convening of the conference on the future of Europe, and particularly in the form of a European Citizen Assembly. So this appointment of the 15 with this double content on You Can Do It and also on European Citizen Assembly, it's the main topic of discussion today of this meeting, but I can see Virginia now that is more up to date than me on those issues, so maybe she can start the discussion.
Yes. Did you summarize all the topics or only the council? Sorry, I didn't.
No, I started from the council because okay. I was more. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, Lorenzo, and sorry for the delay. Yes, there are three topics tonight. One is the council, as Lorenzo mentioned. The second, hopefully, we will have with us Esther Nagy from the Hungarian Federalist for a perspective on rule of law directly from Hungary. She told me she would have joined us, so I guess she will do it. And the third topic is we would like to present a prototype of a project of artificial intelligence for participatory democracy, and together with us we have tonight Stefano Rimini, who curated the project, and Marco can introduce also that. So I think we can, sorry, the cat is freaking me out. Okay, so I think maybe we can start from the Council on Participatory Democracy. We discussed that and started to introduce this last week, and it's taking shape. So I'm gonna share the final link here. 1 second, actually, the entire event. 1 second. Okay. So it's not published on the website yet, but as we all know, today the Commissioner Jourova launched the push for democracy. We didn't have the chance yet to review what that entitles and if it includes anything with the Conference on the Future of Europe. But this is an important appointment for the European institutions that was postponed 9th of May, in May due to the COVID outbreak. And out of that postponement, the coalition Citizens Takeover Europe started as a tool for putting pressure on EU institutions from a civil society and citizens' perspective for the immediate launch of the Conference on the Future of Europe. Within this context, on the 15th of December, there is going to be the first of 3 days of appointment organized within the network of Citizens Takeover Europe. And the contribution that Eumans is bringing is around how participatory democracy can be used for providing the European Union with the instruments of cooperation around the management of crisis. So what you see here is the full program of the day. And there is going to be 3 parallel sessions, which are all of them very interesting. One is the Council of Participatory Democracy, starting from the You Can Do It petition, which is the instrument that we use to put these proposals to the European Parliament. But it's going to be integrated with other 3 important angles and participants. The first one is the Manifesto for the Health Union, which is what the ex-commissioner Violeta Bulc presented us last week. The second is a proposal for the Health Union by New Europeans, which is another organization that we collaborate with. And the third angle of participants will be the promoters of a new European citizen initiative called Right to Cure, which is related to the distribution of vaccines in Europe. So it's going to be a moment of elaboration of shared proposals and also a way to find a participatory democracy-based action to launch these initiatives together, to see the overlaps and to see how we can push them together. So in the document here, you see the full program and also the working materials that are going to be then published on the Eumans website for every one of us to work on that. I don't know if Marco wants to say something just to introduce the conversation, or if we move to Stefano for the presentation.
Yes, Virginia, thank you. Now, just to add some word on the appointment of the 15, because I had this occasion of discussion yesterday with the ESID Foundation. So I think that we should decide what the outcome could be on December 15. So what is our goal? Is or at least what is the tool that we are going to activate? Because the European Citizen Initiative is already triggered. So the only thing that we can do is to make information about it and to invite people to sign it in a way. But at the same time, for those who do not remember all the history, we presented a petition to the European Parliament during the outbreak of the first phase of the pandemic. So it was around April, I think. And in this petition, we had some proposal on a coordination for health emergency policy in the European Union, and also for democracy and the rule of law, in particular the convening on the Conference on the Future of Europe. Some of the aspects that we proposed found some kind of answer from the European Commission. Virginia Fiume was also participate to a hearing to the European Parliament Committee of Petition. So Virginia had the chance to explain for a few minutes the content of our petition, and she provoked some reactions and a positive reaction to our proposal. But then the old thing stopped there. So we, I think, have now to decide if our the tool that we are going to choose is, for example, to decide in common with Violeta Bulc, Andrew Kaitis, so their health initiative, and also European Alternatives and Citizen Takeover Europe, if we are trying to find a common text for a possible new petition. Well, of course, we should read the text very carefully, so it's not something that can be only discussed in a meeting like that. But I think that I saw the document from Citizen Takeover Europe and the European Alternative. Is a very long one and very detailed, with many proposals. It is far more detailed than our petition was. The text of the Manifesto for European Health Union of Bulc and Andriukaitis is more general. In particular, I found two proposals that could be considered maybe more important than others. Not important, more on which I think we could stress our effort and concentrate our effort. The first one is about the creation of a health emergency preparedness and response authority. So an authority for enhanced mechanism to procure adequate supplies in emergency, to enable rapid publication of health data, and so in a way the free circulation and harmonization of data, also involving Eurostat. The other point is the global role that the European Union can play, a global health policy working with the United Nations and its specialized agency, and in particular the World Health Organization. Another thing that happened in the past week was the proposal from Charles Michel, the president of the European Council, to strengthen the role of the United Nations and World Health Organization to an international pandemic treaty. So this is a proposal worth considering, the idea of an international pandemic treaty. And this could be maybe one of the things that we could relaunch during the appointment of December the 15th. So basically, we should decide if from now on until the Council of December 15, we could work already to prepare a consolidated text in order maybe to present a new petition, but not just the petition for the sake of, but the petition as a European campaign to reinforce the role of the European Union in the matter of health. This maybe could be an outcome of the Council. Thank you.
In the meantime, I'm uploading also the manifesto for the Health Union and in the shared folder for the Council, so that if not tonight, and then have a reference with all the working documents that can that maybe some of you wants to review it and help us in reviewing the materials and the integrations. Maybe if in the meantime, I think so we have all the topics for tonight on the table. Maybe Marco and Stefano, if you want to introduce the cheatbot participatory democracy, which is also something that it's part of the work we're doing around the instrument. Maybe Marco can give a brief introduction of the whole projects, and then Stefano can specify on what he worked on.
Okay, I start with the idea. Thank you, Virginia. If you go on the website, there is also an English version. Anyway, can you put the okay, thank you, Virginia. And there is also an English version, which is cheatbot.it/n, I think. Check if it works, because I'm not sure if there's a right address. But first of all, I explain the idea. The idea is artificial intelligence to help citizens to affirm their rights. So to use artificial intelligence technology to provide to the people, to citizens, information on how they can have their right respected. On which issues? Well, the whole idea started from the living will end-of-life decisions, because we were we received a lot, as Associazione Luca Coscioni, a lot of requests of people asking, how can I do my living will? How can even bureaucratic, very simple question, keeping asking all the same questions. So we decided that that was the perfect ground on which artificial intelligence could have helped us. So we put in place, thanks to a company, Revevol, a chatbot based on machine learning technology, and the machine learning system allows to give answers more and more precise as far as the people are using the system. So we started to put other issues inside this chatbot. The issue of, for example, abortion rights, palliative cares, disabled people rights, and many other migration laws and so on. So the idea is basically to expand the capability of chatbot of answering questions coming from citizens, and this is a multi-language system, so it can work in many different languages. The only thing it needs is to instruct the system through FAQ, frequently asked questions, and then training the system, and also checking the answer the system is giving to the people in order to correct eventual mistakes. So on issues like living will in Italian and abortion rights in Italian, the system is quite well performing, is able to answering to the vast majority of the questions that are raised, that are asked. And then I give the floor to Stefano, because it came the idea of instructing chatbot also to give answers to those people who are asking information on how to activate their civic and political rights, and in particular regarding to participatory democracy. Stefano.
Okay, thank you, Marco. Thank you, Virginia. Can you hear me? Yeah, perfect. Okay, just to present myself, I'm Stefano Rimini. I work as a consultant for the European Parliament, for a member of the European Parliament, and I'm very interested in also new technologies and artificial intelligence-based technologies. So, yeah, just to set up the discussion as Marco did. So I think artificial intelligence technologies in general and machine learning in particular really can be drivers in pulling civil society closer to the public administration and politics. Really, artificial intelligence has the potential to change democracy radically and to change the existing political paradigm. So I'm working to empower more diffuse form of political participation. And the question was how civil society can use artificial intelligence-based technologies to empower political participation. There are some examples already existing in the world, like in Brazil, where civil society associations created a software that permits to control the costs of a politician elected, or in India, where artificial intelligence-based technologies, for example, permit marginalized people in countries with many official languages like India to be empowered, for instance, by providing them with automatic translation tools to allow them to vote. And so what we did, what we thought about this tool, we started from the tool already tested for civil rights, as Marco explained. So abortion, euthanasia, assisted suicide, for which in Italy there is no information campaigns towards citizens. So from that tool, we intended to understand how to implement a participatory democracy. And we divided some big issue in the tool that are the European tools for participatory democracy, like a petition, consultation of the European Commission, or civic engagement and citizen assemblies. And I've studied in details these European tools, how they work, and I try to imagine the main question asked by the citizen about these tools. And I designed it in a way to be put in the software. So now what we have to do, we have to taste it. We have to try to understand if it can work and if it can in some way be implemented, increasing our knowledge about the functioning of the software, and maybe trying to imagine how can we develop it. For example, imagining some other questions that we can ask to the software about local tools for political participation. So it's just as a beginning, but I think it can be important to show how these instruments can be used, and the role in general, the role of artificial intelligence based technology in democracy can be used.
Thank you, Stefano. If you go on the two links that I shared, I mean, the English version, I just noticed, is still in the process of being uploaded, whilst the Italian version is already available together with the others. The idea of this phase is basically to test out and ask some questions so that the machine can learn. And after we do this internally with the community of activists and people that are informed about the project, the next step is to present it potentially also during the Council on Participatory Democracy. The coalition of Citizens Take Over Europe is quite well suited for being a partner in this project. So, okay, yeah.
I just wanted to thank Stefano for the for the work he did, and I wanted to underscore the political relevance of what we are talking about now. Artificial intelligence is booming. I'm not saying anything new, but it is booming from the commercial perspective. Artificial intelligence plays a key role to know the consumer better than himself or herself. So for selling goods and services and informations in more and more precise way. Artificial intelligence is booming also for controlling the citizens from the perspective of government. So facial recognition and any kind of way of controlling citizens. Of course, this in countries like China takes the shape of something close to the Orwellian model. But this is already a reality in Europe. I mean, demonstrations in Paris and in France in the last days were also because of the issue of facial recognition through artificial intelligence. So what is missing really is artificial intelligence viewed from the perspective of the citizen on how investment could be done for delivering artificial intelligence as a public good, as something that is empowering the citizens toward the state or the citizens toward a company, and not just the opposite as it is happening now. So this prototype that we built, of course, is not yet so performing or so well known to be to play a key role in changing the game of how participatory democracy is activated. But it is a way of indicating the path. Something better can be built, of course. Something better can be built by public institutions also, of course. But in building a concrete prototype, we want to show what the path could be, and then we want to put on the table the political point of rules and investment for having artificial intelligence benefiting to the citizens and to empower the citizens toward the public power, institutional power. So I wanted to underscore this meaning of this initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Marco. In the meantime, of course, if anyone wants to comment, add, just to remind us, the point is the Council on Participatory Democracy and which type of proposal we can come up with, but also which type of instruments to activate on that matter in a couple of weeks. The second point is this project of participatory artificial intelligence for participatory democracy. Also, if you have any idea of organizations, networks, groups across Europe which might be interested in cooperating, or maybe that are already working on similar instruments. And my guest, Esther, I don't see if she's connected, but I see a user. So if user is Esther, you're more than welcome. If user is not Esther, you're welcome in any case.
May I say something?
Yes.
On the artificial intelligence project, I was just thinking about whether something on the detection of fake news could be for instance, be considered? Because I don't know whether artificial intelligence can do something in that regard, because it's a pretty complicated, like involving deep learning analysis. So I'm not even sure whether the state of the art artificial intelligence could handle this kind of problems, but I would imagine something like that could be useful to enforce democracy, let's say. I don't know whether you already thought about something like that or.
This is a very important point, Paula, also because it's helping us in linking the issues that we discussed so far. In the proposal of the manifesto for European health policy from Bulc and Andriukaitis, fake news are specifically mentioned related to health as a threat for public health. You can just think about how disruptive in a negative way can be fake news on vaccine or even theory of how the virus was born and so on, the manipulation from CIA, all of this kind of history. So yes, well, Facebook and all the main social media and also media are already using of artificial intelligence in order to try to spot fake news, and this is an issue. I think that what is lacking is in a way the opposite exercise, not just artificial intelligence in order to prevent the circulation of the worst, but artificial intelligence to push the circulation of the best. So to have a positive information role, not just the role of policing the web or the social media in order to track down what can be dangerous. But the link between these two aspects is there, and it's very important to put this point.
To add on what Marco said and to follow up on what Paula was suggesting, there is an important collaboration that we have started with Alliance for Europe, which developed an instrument called Social Media Intelligence Unit. It's not an artificial intelligence project, it's rather a human intelligence project somehow. But basically, they started to develop this product during the Brexit referendum campaign, which was, as we know from the Cambridge Analytica case, probably the biggest case of fake news and like computational propaganda, as someone called it. And basically what they are creating is a platform that helps to track conversations around the web. I mean, in that case, it was meant to track conversation and give activists and campaigners the opportunity to intercept this conversation and kind of react, potentially creating counter arguments and counter narratives on that. The instrument is based on ethical data, so basically they only use public data available from Twitter and Facebook. It's very interesting the fact that Twitter, how it's built from a technological perspective, allows way more capabilities around identifying the conversations, the users' accounts, etc., while Facebook is way more closed. And now they opened up the project and they are including other topics and not only fake news. So the collaboration that we have with them, for example, is around climate. So we are helping them to feed more data of ongoing conversation on the topic of climate change. And for some countries, for example, Italy, where we have a good intelligence of what's going on, but not only that. And they are giving us access to the platform. So 6 of our activists are using this social media intelligence unit for the stopglobalwarming.eu campaign. So it's not a project of artificial intelligence, but it goes around the line that Marco was describing, like how to create and empower grassroots organization, movements, campaigners to have either intercepting fake news or developing alternative narratives. It's quite an interesting collaboration. I put here the link of the instruments developed by Alliance for Europe, and I think it's also a way to see how different groups, movements can cooperate with what they have available. Actually, you raised to my mind that I should contact Alliance for Europe for the cheatbot project. They could be a good partner for that eventually. I see we have Esther Nagy from Hungary with us. Hi, Esther, welcome.
Hi, Virginia. I'm sorry I missed the first part, but I had a complication today, so I couldn't join you at the beginning, so I'm very sorry.
No problem. Thanks for being here. Just to give you a bit of background, we were discussing some initiatives that we are currently working on and discussing around the participatory democracy and the management of the health emergency, but not only. And also we're discussing about the use of artificial intelligence for increasing citizens' participation. But I think you are a great moment to join us, because maybe we close with you, but the topic of the rule of law is at the moment essential in the framework also of the recovery plan and the current situation, and having a perspective on that from Hungary is quite important. I know that you are a federalist, first of all, but for us it will be important to hear what's going on in Hungary currently, but also how do you see the civil society and the citizens kind of engaging and try to be not the same of their government or your government somehow. So I think it's good if you can share something with us, and maybe then we can have a bit of a debate about that, and maybe asking you questions, or maybe see what we can do together.
Thank you very much for inviting me, and I really think that the rule of law, the issue of rule of law, is a very crucial thing. And also now it's in the center of attention because of the Hungarian and the Polish veto for the EU budget, which really shows that that is a weak point of the Hungarian, and also it seems to the Polish government as well. And we all know that there is a lot at stake, and the problem for us with there is this intergovernmental nature of spending the EU funds. And also the issue is that the way the Hungarian government is using the EU funds is a very biased way. And that is also shown by the Olaf reports, because in 2019, Hungary won the cases. So we were the country, the member state, which had the biggest number of investigations against it. But if I connect it to the rule of law, the problem is that Olaf does not have the power to prosecute it, but it has to go over to the national prosecutor, which should kind of start a process and do the that it should be controlled, and it should be really there should be some real judicial control over the spending of the money. But there is the problem with the rule of law and the checks and balances in Hungary, that the national prosecutor is also a Fidesz founding member. So that means that it's not an autonomous institution. So this is one element of the checks and balances, which is totally eliminated. And this means that basically there is no real control over the transparency, how the EU money is spent. And from this respect, I think it's a crucial issue that if the EU already gives the money, it should provide for the real checks of the transparency and of the spending, and to exclude that there should be corruption, because it is a huge amount of money, and it has been like really in the past 10 years that Viktor Orbán is in power in Hungary. Hungary has received enormous amount of money from the EU, and we see that the way it was spent. I'm pretty sure that you follow the number of stadiums, the rise of oligarchs, like this plumber man from the village of Orbán. He raised up to become the richest man in Hungary, and because he's always the one who wins the contracts. You know, that I think it's not a secret that there are overpriced contracts, and there are kind of if it's about invitation, then they invite only those 1 or 2 cronies or 1 or 2 oligarchs. So this way, the EU money is not going to benefit the society, but it helps mostly to cement Orban's power, and to, you know, it gives him the financial sources. And that's exactly why I think that the rule of law conditionality is so crucial for the Hungarian people. And it is also it was also shown by, there was a survey about what people think about the rule of law conditionality, and even in Hungary, over 2/3 of the society supported the conditionality of rule of law, even though we know that there is a risk that we will be not benefiting from the EU budget or from this recovery fund or whatever. But what we want to say is that this is for us, it's this way, it's not benefiting the society. This way, it's benefiting Orban, and it helps cementing his power. And that's why it is such a crucial issue for us, that this rule of law conditionality should be taken seriously, and that it should be a political decision to apply also you know, that the money should spend correctly. And also, I don't know what was the other question, was about like civil society and how.
Yeah, I think because I think, for example, in Poland, it's quite evident.
I don't hear you at the moment. Sorry,
Can you hear me? Hello, hello.
I can't hear you. Something is wrong here, maybe.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sound check.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, now can you speak? Now I think I will be able to hear you.
Try. Can you hear me?
Yes. Now I can hear you. Sorry.
Yeah, no, I think the second question is about the citizens and civil society organizations, which are not necessarily the same thing. Because I think if we look at Poland, the taking over of the streets and the actions are quite evident, and sometimes it kind of break the news, whilst in Hungary, from a very basic perception, is a bit less evident the reaction of the civil society and citizens. So I was wondering if you can tell us a bit about which are the streams of actions, and what do you think it's happening, and what do you think it's more needed if you look at this from a transnational perspective?
Yeah, you know, in the past 10 years, I cannot even tell you at how many demonstrations I was present or I went there. The last time, it was last summer, the takeover of index.hu, that was a news portal, the last remaining independent news portal, and there was a demonstration of 10,000 in Budapest. It was in July, I think. And the problem is that there is a demonstration fatigue in Hungary, that you know, several 10,000 people can go out to the streets, but nothing really happens because the government doesn't care. The government doesn't really change course, even if many people go out and demonstrate. And yeah, I think people just got tired of it because we couldn't reach any goals, you know, due to demonstration. And that's why it's even the public media doesn't talk about the demonstrations. If there is a demonstration, the public media doesn't report, you know. That's and we feel a little bit like yeah, there are no real means, because of course over 90% of the media is controlled by the government. And you know, we have, of course, social media and Facebook. And there was this case of this Hungarian MEP. I don't know whether you followed the story from last weekend, who escaped this chemsex party in Brussels. And Facebook was blown up, Hungarian Facebook, and people really found that was a way to express whatever, that there have been so many memes and funny memes, and people were just really it was a really active issue and actively discussed issue in the social media in Hungary. But otherwise, it's really difficult to find leverage point. Like okay, we go out to the street, but what will happen? It's not going to be reported about, and nothing. The government won't change anything. So that's the problem. And yeah, I really envy Poland in this sense, because I know that this abortion movement really was very active, and it was unbelievable, the street protests and everything. But for us, there are so many issues, and it's a little bit, it has gone too far, and I think people are a little bit disappointed and in a way, pessimistic whether it can change anything if we go to the streets. And of course, the COVID situation doesn't make it easier either. And I just one a small element in the springtime. There was the first lockdown, and there was an independent MP who organized a demonstration with cars, to use the horn under the. There is the Castle Hill where Orban has the residence now, and there is a roundabout just below it. I don't know whether you've been to Budapest. It's on the Buda side, and he organized this demonstration with the cars, and people were using the horns in protest of handling the crisis and whatever. And they got fined by the police for using the horn, and they got really big fines, some of them. And it was a very a brutal use of the force, the police force, against peaceful demonstrators, because also in the rules for traffic rules there is no there is no paragraph for that you are not allowed to use the horn and you can get fined by the police. But it happened in Hungary that you even get fined for that. So people are really getting discouraged, and it's really hard to demonstrate.
Hi Esther, Marco Cappato speaking. I'm the president of Eumans and a former member of the European Parliament. First of all, thank you for being with us. And it's very important for us to be updated regularly by you on what is happening. I think that, and I wanted to share this idea with you, that at least in the long run, it would be very important the direct involvement of Hungarian civil society in European initiatives, like the ones that Eumans is trying to push forward. Because I understand what you said of the demonstration fatigue. I went in Warsaw, in Poland, in January, and they told me the same comments that you are saying now. That yes, we go. At that time, we had a huge demonstration, tens of thousands of people protesting against the attack on the independence of the judiciary. But then nothing happened in a way. And I believe that if it remains an issue of Hungarian opposition to the Hungarian government or Polish opposition to the Polish government, unfortunately, the damage that has already been done to the Polish and the Hungarian democracy is so profound that it is difficult to reverse the situation, to change radically the situation. But if more and more Hungarians could be involved even on other topics, like, I don't know, our European Citizen Initiative on stopglobalwarming.eu, or other initiative on many, many different issues on which Hungarian citizens can act as European citizens. Of course, this is not a solution for tomorrow. It will not change anything in 2 weeks. But in the long run, it could help to create a sort of reinforcement of civil society network and organization Europe-wide, because we also in Italy have problems on the rule of law. They are not so blatant, they are not so evident. I mean, we have apparently free media, but then if you look at the media, you have a lot of problem with the media. Of course, there is no such a concentration of ownership that you have in Hungary, but we have the problem with the media, we have a problem with justice, we have problem with prisons, we have a problem with migrants. So in a way, we have to build this long run effort. So I really hope that even through Eumans and through also your organization, we could cooperate in working together toward this common goal.
Yeah, thank you very much, Marco. I really appreciate, and I also very much appreciated this email from Virginia. And I didn't have any information about the citizen initiative that you started. So it's really good that we got involved. And I also thank you this translation, and I really hope it will be successful. But I also think that that for us, you know, we joined the EU in 2004. That was like 16 years ago, and we are still like considered a new member state. It is really an interesting thing that the integration, the real integration of the society couldn't have happened. You know, like it was. I think we are still very divided. Okay, we have a language issue because Hungarian is a more difficult language than German, Italian, or French, or these kind of languages are more spoken, but I think that it's really for us it's a vital thing that we should be more integrated, and we should be able to say to give our contribution also in different issues. Also, I think global warming and the climate change is a very, very important issue, and I think it's for the Hungarian opposition is really important. And also we want to give our alternative voice that that not everybody should believe what Orban says, that everybody is behind him. It's not true. He won the elections. You know, he can win 2/3 majority with less than 50% of the votes. So not even the real majority supported him in the elections. And he's always telling that, yeah, the Hungarians always support him, but it's not true. It's simply not true. And I think it's very important for us also to express ourselves on the European level. So I'm very, very grateful for this perspective to be here with you. Yeah.
Thanks, Esther. And one question that I have, which is maybe for all of us and for you, is that as we were saying at the beginning, on the 15th of December, we will have this event within a coalition that we're part of, which is called Citizens Take Over Europe. And the focus of our session is on the measures that the European Union can have in the management of health crisis, social crisis, economic crisis. So when and this is based on a petition to the European Parliament that we presented back in April, that was heard by the Parliament, but now it's kind of, in a draw somewhere in Brussels. And so we are trying to imagine how to push it. And besides the proposals around the technical aspects, like how data are shared, how funds are organized, there was also the element of the respect of the rule of law in the emergency measures. So my question is, and I will send you the material, but my question to you is there anyone in Hungary that is kind of focusing on, as you said, the recovery plan, like, for example, beside the conditionality, but also like how potentially it can be improved, the way how the investments are distributed, the resources are distributed, or transparency measures, like, or in general, I think it would be interesting for this event to have an Hungarian perspective, not because of identity politics, but because, as Marco was saying, putting together the voices and the ways of envisioning the European politics can be quite important. So I will send you the materials, but I was wondering if there is anyone that is specifically focused on the health emergency and the resources allocation and things like that.
Yeah, it's really a difficult issue because all opposition parties also deal with this issue, and there are a lot of experts who try to ask questions to the government. For example, the government bought like 16,000 respiratory machines for a very high price, and we only have like 2,000 intensive care beds. You know, like there were some really very how to say disproportionate spending of money, and also there is an independent member of the parliament who tries to put together the information on the statistics. You know what the government gives for the people who are in hospital. You know who died actually, but there is really even not a real transparency because, for example, the hospital directors are not allowed to talk to the press, so they are forbidden to give out information what is the situation in a hospital. And now even with the vaccine, we don't know whether we will get the Russian vaccine or the new Western European vaccine or the American vaccine, because the government talks with Russia about the Russian vaccine. And so it's really how to say, we don't really have a trust in the government, what they do in this issue, not to speak of the fact that what they do is they try to take away the funds from the municipalities under the pretext that it's COVID prevention, that they take away tax income from the municipalities, or they introduce like free parking that the municipalities cannot get the parking income, for example, in Budapest. So it's really like a battlefield, just to put it in a nutshell. That's why I don't even want to talk about the economic measures, because that's another big group of things that are not really happening well. And I think if the EU had like some kind of general guidelines how you should treat this issue, or what would be the things that would be recommended, maybe it would have something. But yeah, eventually, yeah, it's really hard to find just one institution that would deal with this pandemic issue, because of course it's a state task, what the government should do normally.
Thank you so much, Esther. I don't know if we are heading toward the end of the call but I don't know if the others wants to share some thoughts, perspectives on all the topics that we tackled tonight, or not to put Esther under the spotlight, but of course it's quite important to have you with us. So I leave some time if there are any comments. Otherwise, we go toward the conclusions. Okay. Okay, so Esther, I will, with all of us, I will follow up with the materials that we discussed tonight, and also in particular with Esther, I'm curious to share, maybe we can have a chat, but I'm curious to share with you these initiatives, because maybe you can, you are interested in some angles, so we can use some of the angles to build some joint analysis and actions also with the networks that we are part of. For all the others and for all of us, the Thursday meeting is every Thursday, same time. From next week, we're gonna change the link, so you will receive an email with the new link. We're changing platform and transitioning to Zoom. But the meeting time is always the same, and as you have seen, we're trying to have a political agenda for every Thursday, so that we have some angles, so it's an opportunity to bring along other people that might are working on some of the issues or have some perspectives to have this meeting as a space for building slowly but steadily a shared political analysis and shared actions whenever it's possible. From a appointments perspective, on the 12th of December, Saturday, is the 5th anniversary of the Paris Agreement, and Marco is organizing a panel with very high-level participants from Navi Pillai, former UN Commissioner for Human Rights, Emma Bonino, former UN for Humanitarian Aid, and David Sassoli, President of the European Parliament, Morgan Slicktoft, who was the President of the UN General Assembly during the Paris Agreement, and many others. And the purpose of this moment is to analyze the potential and the failure of the Paris Agreement, and how a policy such as the carbon pricing can be a concrete solution to speed up the cutting in CO2 emissions and also generating investments for the ecological transition. This is part of the StopGlobalWarming.eu European Citizen Initiative, where we are still collecting signatures, but also creating these opportunities for action across the EU and beyond the UN member states. And the other appointment is the one on the 15th of December, Citizens Take Over Europe, and these 3 panels. The one which is the Council on Participatory Democracy, which of course we promote in the focus of health measures. There is going to be also a session on citizen assemblies, so petition-based citizen assemblies, and how this can be used at the European level, which is coordinated by Lorenzo. And the third panel, and personally, I'm sorry that is in parallel because it's about media and participatory democracy. But the output of this Citizens Take Over Europe initiative can be very powerful in terms of broadening the mobilization, the angles, and the actions that can be done. So thanks everyone for joining. Last, I was forgetting the important bit, which is that Tuesday, 8th of December at 9 p.m. there is gonna be the members assembly of Eumans. So it's a moment of discussion more on the movement, and we opened the membership 3 weeks ago. Some of you might have received an email as well. So on Tuesday we are going to focus mainly on which are the needs of European citizens and how participatory democracy can be activated. So how as a movement we can grow and evolve to become more stronger in doing what we are trying to do, which is giving the opportunities to citizens to work together for achieving goals around rule of law, sustainability, through direct action within the EU institutions and nation states and local levels. So if you want to join us, the assembly is of course open for the members. Roberto shared the link for that, but it's also going to be open as all our meetings. So if you want to join and listen and just bring your perspective, that's a good moment for more movement analysis, so more like what we need to do, what we want to do. Thanks everyone for being with us tonight. Hope to see you next week.
Goodbye, everybody.
Thank you, Virginia.